absolutely unbelievable. It's a tie game! Woo! Finally! Go Leafs, go! It's not baseball, but let's see a rally. Let's go Leafs!
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Maple Leafs Media. As always, I'm your guy, Jake. And what a Wild West showdown we just witnessed between the Vancouver Canucks and the Toronto Maple Leafs. The Vancouver Canucks emerged victorious by a score of 3-2. And I don't think it's very often. I don't have the exact stat here with me today, but I can't imagine that it's very often that a team outshooting their opponents 53-24. That's a shot differential of 29. I can't imagine that team usually loses. Usually the team that's outshooting their opponents by 29 shots are going to emerge victorious in this in the game of hockey, but that was not the case for the Toronto Maple Leafs tonight. Some early defensive woes came back to bite them, and they ran into an extremely hot goaltender in Thatcher Demko, who had a fantastic performance. He was dominant tonight, first star of the game easily, and he posted a career high in saves. What a great game from Thatcher Demko. He stole the show out there for the Vancouver Canucks tonight, and he led his team to 2 points. That was a great game for Thatcher Demko. Outstanding performance. But I want to go back to what I was just saying about being teams out shooting their opponents heavily aren't usually going to lose games. Well, that's wasn't the case for the Toronto Maple Leafs tonight, and it certainly wasn't the case for them Thursday night against the Calgary Flames either. They outshot the Flames 48-26 on Thursday night. So if you combine the shot differential over the past 2 games, it's a plus 51 shot differential in favor of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Goal differential, whole different story, -5. So, I mean, yeah, they've ran into some hot goaltenders, but there's been some defensive lapses that have really come back to bite this team. And early in the game, there were quite a few mistakes defensively in the early stages of this game. I'm looking at Justin Hall and Jake Muzzin. They got progressively better through the game. You could say that, but really to start, it was awful, and it was just brutal. They were really struggling to control the puck, and they couldn't get it out of their own defensive zone. They looked slow. Honestly, they looked lost out there, and the Vancouver Canucks, they capitalized on that. We got to some comments here. Frank says, "Great game. The Leafs deserved a better result." You could say that. You could definitely say that, but it is what it is. They have to respond from it, and it's going to be interesting to see how this team responds to the adversity of. I guess this is a new storyline. There's always a new storyline revolving around this team, and right now they're out shooting their opponents, but they're losing. I know it's only been 2 games, small sample size, but it's not something that you want to see continue. It's got to be something that lights a fire under this team, and especially under the blue line. The blue line needs to be better. Last game against Calgary, I didn't do a post-game show for that, so I'm going to talk about that a bit. There was a couple goals, and I think it was within a matter of 2 minutes of each other, where the best face-off team in the NHL, the Toronto Maple Leafs, lost face-offs in their own defensive zone, and really it was poor defensive play. Great cycle by the Calgary Flames, but you got to read that better if you're the Toronto Maple Leafs defense. And Frank also says there's been a decline on defense in the play of goaltenders, and absolutely, Definitely was. Definitely was. It's definitely something that we've been seeing. The blue line for the Maple Leafs has not been what we thought it was last season, and the goaltenders, Jack Campbell, he has been experiencing a decline. Peter Mrazek's been better than. I mean, he wasn't available. He wasn't available for the majority of the season to start off. So he's been better than he was before, but we'd like to see some better performances from both our goaltenders and especially that blue line. The blue line up front needs to be better. Dorky Dave says, same old Leafs. Entertaining game though. Yeah, that was a very entertaining game. Kept you on the edge of your seat, didn't it? We saw broken glass. We saw some outstanding saves, a goaltender standing on his head. We saw a goal called back because of an offside, an empty netter. There's been, it was really all you could ask for in a hockey game. But if you're a Toronto Maple Leafs fan, I guess the one thing that you're really asking for out of this dominant performance for the majority of the game is a victory and 2 points, and the Maple Leafs did not get that tonight. So that's what matters most, I guess. Jack says, or John, sorry. John says Jack Campbell could be hurt, and he could be. He definitely could be. Could be hurt. It could be something that is lingering in his mind, like a confidence issue. It could be an injury. I don't know. I don't have the. I'm not on the medical team for the Toronto Maple Leafs, so I can't make those calls. I'm not on the coaching staff, so I can't make those calls about his confidence either. But what I can say is that he has not been the goaltender he was at the beginning of the season. And recently, Peter Mrazek's been the better of the two goaltenders. Jack Campbell, he's been getting wins, but he hasn't been convincing us in goal. He hasn't been great in goal. He's been okay, but not what he was at the beginning of the season. And Frank says if the Leafs don't address the Muzzin and Hall pairing, the second half is going to be tough, and the goaltending needs to be consistently better. Yeah, so that Justin Hall Jake Muzzin pairing, it really looks awful at times. Let me call it what it is. It looks awful at times. They haven't played that much together this season because they've been out with injuries at separate times, sometimes at the same time. But right now, what we're seeing from them, not good enough at all. They were our shutdown pairing last season, but they've experienced a significant decline this season. They just look slow out there, and they're making critical errors that are coming back to bite the Toronto Maple Leafs, and ultimately, they're putting their team in a bad position. So you need to see more from these two. The Maple Leafs ask for a lot from these guys, and if you're Justin Hall specifically, because I know Jake Muzzin is someone that he did just come back from an injury, and I'm not making excuses from him, but he came back from injury recently. He's a leader in the locker room, so I feel as if he's someone that the Maple Leafs are relying on him. 100%, they're relying on Jake Muzzin to be in the top four. They need him to step up. Justin Hall, I feel as if he should be moved down to the bottom pairing, or it's someone that the Maple Leafs ultimately may look to trade away. I there's no other way to put it. Justin Hall and Justin Mick says here, Justin Hall needs to be better. Absolutely, he needs to be better. He needs to be held accountable for some of these mistakes he's making. Those two goals that started this game gave the Canucks a 2-0 lead early. I put a lot of the blame on Justin Hall for those two goals. And I hope Sheldon keeps holding him accountable for that. There needs to be some accountability on that blue line. Big time. Uh, so I mentioned earlier, first star of the game, I think it's pretty obvious. Thatcher Demko set a career high in saves. Outstanding performance. He had 51 saves out there for the Vancouver Canucks. He led them to victory. Second star of the game, JT Miller. He had the first goal of the game. It was a really nice goal, actually. He also had an assist, and he had a empty netter that was called back due to an offsides late in the game. But JT Miller, deserving of the second star of the game. And for the third star of the game, it's Austin Matthews. He had a goal. He looked pretty good out there tonight. And like I said, the Maple Leafs controlled play for majority of this game, but Thatcher Demko stole the show. And those early defensive woes, they really came back to bite this team. If you haven't already, please make sure you smash the like button and hit the notification bell to be notified every time new content's being released here on Maple Leafs Media. I like to do these post-game shows, try to do as many as I can. I'll be doing a post-game show Monday night after the Seattle Kraken and Toronto Maple Leafs take on face off for their first ever matchup Monday night. That's going to be exciting, just because it's a team that the Maple Leafs have never faced before. That brings a new level of excitement, so I'm definitely excited about that. And Frank Rusty Nail says the Leafs need to address the 3-4 defense, move Muzzin down, trade Hall. And that'd be ideal, but I don't really. What are you going to do? How are you going to move Jake Muzzin down to your bottom pair? I don't really think that that's a move that the Maple Leafs can afford to make right now. The Maple Leafs need Jake Muzzin big time. Uh, you could trade Hall. You could move Hall down. But really, their defensive options are limited right now. And I don't think there's no way. Okay, I can't say there's no way, but I don't think that the Maple Leafs will trade Jake Muzzin. It's definitely a possibility they trade Justin Hall. But right now, they don't have the bodies to just what you can't put Liljegren and Sandin. You can't put those two on in your top four. You can't put Dermott in your top four either. So, I mean, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with this team come trade deadline. Chris Patterson says, I feel this team is just too soft. Once a team starts playing a little physical, the Leafs cannot take it. That's been something that's been a concern for quite some time. Uh, the media is always talking about that, always surrounding the Toronto Maple Leafs. Are they physical enough? And that's just not their style of play. They're not a physical team, but you'd definitely like to see some more grit, some more intensity, big time. Because come playoff time, it's a much more physical game, and you need to have that physicality. They're gonna face against, they're gonna face off against a team that's physical in the playoffs. Dylan says, when Toronto always outshoots their opponents and don't win, that's a problem. It happens way too often. And Dylan, it's definitely an issue. And I just go. It goes back to the defensive blunders that this team has had. Uh, you'd like to see them capitalize on more of these opportunities, score some more goals, but this is a high-scoring team. They ran into a hot goaltender tonight. It's not really an excuse for losing this game. Thatcher Demko was fantastic, but you know what? The defense needs to be better. That start to the game really it shifted momentum so heavily in favor of the Vancouver Canucks, and the Maple Leafs took it back. They took the momentum back. They scored 2 goals, and then just in a matter of minutes after tying it up, and it appeared that the Maple Leafs had all the momentum, the Canucks come back and they score in less than 3 minutes. Take that lead right back, and they hold on to the lead throughout the game. It's really frustrating to watch. when a team has a plus 51 shot differential over the past two games, but their goal differential is -5. They lost 5-1 to Calgary the other night. They lose 3-2 to the Canucks tonight. That's really frustrating for Leafs Nation. And yeah, John, I did see that. So Elliot Friedman reported on 32 Thoughts at the second intermission that the Maple Leafs are exploring trading Nick Ritchie, and it makes sense. He really hasn't been much of a factor for the Toronto Maple Leafs at all in a positive way this season. So, I mean, clear up some cap space with that. Try to move him. That makes sense. And Dorky Dave says, just seems that way too often. Leafs run into a hot goaltender once in a while. Okay, but it just happens too much. And I mean, there's so many great goaltenders in the National Hockey League that you can't really make that excuse. I know, like, it's not an excuse. It sucks that you run into a hot goaltender, and it's definitely a fact that they have ran into some hot goaltenders throughout the season. Jacob Markstrom the other night, and tonight Thatcher Demko, who's, in my opinion, one of the best five goaltenders in the National Hockey League. He's fantastic, but they just need to find ways to overcome it. Good teams find ways to win, and the Maple Leafs need to find ways to win in these games where they're heavily outshooting their opponents. They need better defensive play. Their defense needs to play better, and their goaltenders, they've been struggling recently too. They should also be held accountable. You know, Jack Campbell hasn't been great. He has been a shell of what he was early in the season, and I don't know if there's an injury or a confidence issue. I don't know what it is, but we've seen a decline. And Peter Mrazek, we just need to hope he can step it up as well. So, what did everyone think about the broken glass incident when Luke Shen just hammered Rasmus Sandin into the boards? That was insane. Massive hit from Luke Shen, who's in the top 15 in the NHL hitting category. I mean, that's quite the stat. Luke Shen's been really lighting it up recently in the hits department. Uh, Tonight he had 7 at some point in the third period. I'm just going to check to see what the final stat was for that. So Luke Shen finished the game with 7 hits. So yeah, in the past 5 games, Luke Shen has 37 hits. 37 hits in the past 5 games. That's something that the Maple Leafs could use. Just going to throw that out there. The Maple Leafs could use a defenseman that is that physical on that bottom pairing. And I know we've been talking about this issue is Justin Hall and Jake Muzzin defensive pairing. But if you could add that physicality, I think that would be really nice. And his contract's pretty team friendly too. It's just a $850,000 salary cap this season and next season. So the Maple Leafs, if they were to trade for him, or whoever does trade for him, if a trade does end up happening, I mean, that's a very team friendly deal. John says Leafs want Luke Shen back. Frank Rusty Nail says, I think Shen will be an option at the trade deadline, and the Leafs need that physicality. And Dennis says they need that type of player. And yeah, who would have thought that the Maple Leafs, everything comes full circle, I guess. Nothing has happened. There has been no trade or anything. But if you want to speculate about it, I feel like that'd be a great fit for the Toronto Maple Leafs. It's someone who's on a really cheap deal and a really physical defenseman. That'd be a great addition for the Toronto Maple Leafs, in my opinion. Our man says, Hall, all in caps. Hall! What is he doing out there? Why he pinches so much? When he needs to shoot or pass, or vice versa. Oh, when he needs to shoot, he passed, or vice versa. Yeah, I did notice him pinching up on the rush a couple times there. He pinched quite a few times actually. Didn't look great. He's not a fast skater. He's not a speedy skater, and he really struggled with the puck in his own defensive zone tonight. It happened the other night against Calgary as well. I believe it happened against Carolina. He's made some critical errors defensively, and really get it out of your defensive zone. Just this is something that you're taught in like pee wee hockey. Just slam that thing off the boards. And listen, I'm not in the NHL. I'm not I'm not that great of a defenseman, but what I'm saying here is this is he just seems lost. Yeah, Dennis says he's lost, and I agree. Justin Hall does look lost out there for the Toronto Maple Leafs, and I mean some critical errors have been costly for them. That was the story of tonight's game. Those two early goals cost the Toronto Maple Leafs this game. Outside of those, outside of that early period, like outside of the first few minutes of this game, Toronto Maple Leafs dominated. They're the better team. This is a game that they should have won, but that was costly. Uh, on a more positive note, someone that we've wanted to see shoot the puck a lot more, Mitchell Marner. I think he's been playing fantastic. Uh, he's been shooting the puck like you want to see him shoot the puck. His past 3 games heading into tonight, he had 22 shots. 22 shots. And he had 5 more shots tonight. I I hammered a bet of Mitch Marner over 2.5 shots, and I think I'm gonna keep hammering that. I'm gonna keep hammering that bet until he shows me a reason not to, because right now he appears to be playing with a lot of confidence and shooting the puck. That's exactly what the Toronto Maple Leafs want him to do. If he can keep that up, more good things are going to happen for the Toronto Maple Leafs, but tonight, not the case. Not the case. And again, I don't think it's very often that a team with a plus 51 shot differential over just a 2 game span with a plus 51 shot differential. I don't think it's very often that team's going to lose, but they lost both games. That's really stunning. The Maple Leafs will face off against the Seattle Kraken at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time Monday night, and they'll be going up against. I would expect it to be Philip Grubauer in net, but we'll see. That's always subject to change. So it will be interesting to see them face off against each other in their first meeting in National Hockey League history. It'll be very interesting. Our man says, "What is the fourth line identity? I don't need any physical play by Simmons." Are you saying I don't need or don't see? I'm not sure, but I I mean the fourth line identity. You have Jason Spezza, who's a great face-off guy, but really outside of that, it has been it's been tough to watch at times. I mean, really, that fourth line is they've had their ups, but they've had a lot of downs throughout this season as well. Uh, More often downs, I guess. That's a great question. What is their identity? Because you have different players that do different things. Jason Spezza, I mean, you have two veterans. two great veterans on your team that are definitely valuable assets, especially in the locker room. But you see Pure Engvall on that fourth line as well, and I don't really like how he fits in with those two. Frank Rusty Nails mentions that it was good to see Andre Kasha score again. He was having a tough time after his COVID protocol, and really, that was a scary play the other day. Clean hit, by the way. Clean hit by Nikita Zadorov. He absolutely destroyed Andre Kasha, and it was someone who has a injury history. First place your mind went to was, is that going to be a concussion? Luckily for the Toronto Maple Leafs and for Andre Kasha, he was back out there tonight. That's something you love to see. He scored a goal, so hopefully for him and hopefully for the Maple Leafs, he can pick up the pace a little bit, build off this, and build on this momentum that he hopefully gained from tonight's game where he scored a power play goal. Because he's definitely someone. He's definitely someone who he was called a buzzsaw by Jason Spezza earlier in the season. He's someone who you'd love to watch how he plays the game because he plays with such intensity and such grit, really. Andre Kosh is a valuable asset for the team, and if he can keep scoring again, that'd be great. But really, top priority is always health, and seeing him come back into the lineup tonight, not missing any games after that big hit he took from Zadorov the other night, that's the best part of it all. If you haven't already, please make sure you smash the like button and hit the notification bell to be notified every time new content's released on the channel. I've I'll be back here Monday night for a post-game show when the Seattle Kraken and Maple Leafs face off. Disappointing outcome for the Toronto Maple Leafs tonight, not what they were looking for after outshooting the Canucks by 29 shots, but it's something that they're going to have to rebound from. I like that word for it. Yeah, Kasha. He's been a spark plug. He's been a spark plug, buzzsaw, whatever you want to call him. He's definitely someone who has brought a new level of intensity to the Maple Leafs lineup, and it's something that you want to see more of going forward. Someone who I feel like he could be a major contributor come playoff time. But with that, I think I'm going to head off here for. I think that pretty much sums up tonight's game between the Canucks and Maple Leafs. Really, it was just a disappointing outcome for the Toronto Maple Leafs uh, because they really heavily outshot the Canucks and they controlled play all game long. But they fell. They fell to a team that emerged victorious in the Vancouver Canucks. Thank you for watching tonight's post game show. As always, I'm your guy Jake, and I look forward to seeing you Monday night after the Seattle Kraken face off against the Toronto Maple Leafs. So I'll see you then.